here I is in my front flower bed, what I call my front flower bed. Just sort of come out here, and I was gonna piddle around for a little while before sunset. You can see it's getting low out there. But everything's fizzled out, and got my Jackie and Shadow snag. Anybody watches the Eagles out there in California? Not those Eagles. Anyways, most everything's done its thing, and some stuff is starting to, when they do their stuff in the late summer. All my pretty cone flowers, what some people call them purple echinaceas, I call them cone flowers, but that's what some people call them. Call them both things, but there was a big mass of pretty flowers right there, and they've all fizzled out. My lilies are done, and a couple little batches over here, but my big main batch is over there in my flower bed in the backyard. But this will be blooming here in the fall. I think Miss Brenda, she has one Camilla. I think that's what it's called. It's a shrub that blooms in the fall. It's just beginning to see little buds on it. It's been here for a few years now. It puts out real kind of like little rose-looking flowers. And this is fixing to start blooming. Actually, already is beginning to bloom. Arlo back there barking. That snake root, I think it's called. That native plant. There's a whole bunch of it out there in the woods on the edge of the front yard. It's everywhere. It seeds easily. This is pretty much the only one I've left. I let stay here because it just starts coming up everywhere. So yeah, everything's looking kind of beat up from the hot summer we had, and I got beat up from rain all the way up until middle summer, and then it got turned off and got pretty dry, and then went like a month with no rain. Then I think about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago now, we had a pretty good rain, and had nothing since. But the temperatures have been really nice. So, but today was a little warmer, but it's more dry instead of muggy. So, this is all my Indian grass. It's kind of messy looking, but once these seed heads they're starting to come out here now. But awfully pretty, real big, pretty seed heads. I just put this right here just the other day to help hold this back side of this grass up. Really, this kind of grass really needs something where you can just see just the seed heads and cover up the, the kind of bottom part. But I don't mind it because it's at the end of summer when it does its thing. But the seed heads are just so pretty. Of course, like that. Sucks because I have to zip tie stuff together, but my makeshift little dry driftwood kind of things like stumps and stuff. It's just my kind of but yeah, it's looking kind of beat up right now. But one bad thing about this stuff is they break. The stems are pretty thick. They'll break fairly easily. So when I come out here and try to keep it contained instead of just falling all over the place, luckily I kind of did it on purpose. My little stumps. This right here is the top of a cedar tree, top part of it. Kind of helped to hold it in. But anyways, and this right here is called autumn sedum. They bloom in the late summer, just beginning to, kind of like a succulent type of thing. They look a little messy, but they always seem to kind of do that. It's like a succulent. So but the blooms are really pretty. I got several of those. I got what, four of them. I got 2 more over there. But those little grasses. These are little short little grasses. Forget the name of them. Something little blue stem, I think it is. It's like a native grass. There's my lavender. It was bloomed out early this summer, and it was awfully pretty. It had full blooms. I cut the blooms off, and it might bloom again. I don't know. It's the first time I really had a lavender really to come back and do this good. It's almost made like a little bush here. And then my butterfly weed, it's all the orange, bright orange butterfly weed is done, and now it's coming for all the seed heads. And I always get these little bugs on them. They're a beneficial type of bug. I looked them up one time, but always on the milkweed. But yeah, seed heads start opening. They make big old seed heads, and they start coming out, and they just got all these little fluffy things, and those little bugs are always all over the seed pods. I think they're eating bugs. But I do know they're not like a bad bug, they're a good bug. So yeah, everything's it's trying to sprout out right here a little bit. But yeah, it's looking pretty beat up now, but it's that time, so I've started cutting stuff down here and there, and I'm gonna come here and cut those coneflowers down and start kind of tidying up for all the leaves start dropping. I already had some to start dropping, like the poplars and stuff, but oh, there's another little praying mantis. There's another one over there on that hummingbird feed. This is a smaller one. This is a dahlia, but it's done better last year. It's got a lot of buds on it, but I don't know, dahlias are kind of finicky. They're really, really pretty. Got all kinds of them with different flowers and colors and big blooms and little blooms and stuff, but they're really not for hot southern flower beds and stuff. More for somewhere it might be where the summers are not so bad. Last year it done really good, but when all this stuff's all bloomed, all this Pennistum, this was called corn huskers. There's different colors, but mine's called corn huskers. There's some where the foliage, this part is like a really bright green and the flowers are pink, but mine's a darker green with the red kind of stem, and they make all these, if I go focus, all these little seed heads. And they make all these little, they look messy this time of year. All my stilby is done. It was so pretty right about, I don't know, I guess end of June. All here was just a mass of just, of course you saw some of the videos, mass of like bubblegum pink flowers and stuff. So, well, probably start cutting it down here. It's already starting to kind of die back and stuff, which it does normally, and cut it back and stuff, but so when it's hot as it's been, it's hard for anything to, keep looking wonderful. So, and this right here is another, all this little patch of coneflowers that I had. They were so pretty. The little goldfinches and stuff have been all over the seed heads. Real prickly little, with the air on today. It got a little warmer today than it has been, so. But yeah, this will be cut down pretty soon. I've been kind of leaving it for the birds. They're like picking up the seeds. The little fountain, there's some little hostas under here. This is I keep it trimmed up underneath here. it would be all the way to the ground. This thing was like, I don't know, maybe a couple feet tall when I planted it years ago. Probably like, been here almost 20 years, so probably like maybe about 18 years ago I planted it. So it's got really big. Little birds, I just love that little, I don't know what it was, but it's whatever I got at Donna's. It's supposed to sit at the base of something. See the cutout there, but it's got like a little starfish in there. But the birds absolutely love it right up under here. They like the little ground bird bath type deals. You know, if it's in the right spot, they kind of seem to be kind of picky. Not really picky, but I guess. And that's another thing I got at Donna's. And another hosta under here. It was bloomed. It was real pretty. But yeah, everything's looking like it's fixing to be September, so. But one thing I am kind of, wish I would have been doing this all along, but here's this is that called that false sunflower. I got it at that one homestead nursery. It's been really nice. It's just sat here and bloomed and bloomed. I come over here and cut some of the old blooms off, and it puts out a new little flower. It's almost like little daisies. I like it a lot. And here's some of my ironweeds. I'm just some of seeded over here. I don't know if I'll let this stay over here. I got my original clump over there that we dug up a long time ago, and it's seeded finally. It took it a long time to seed. Look, Spart over there. Yeah, I got the gate open, but it's, you know, got the fence all the way around, but they're not going nowhere. So I'm right here. Alright, that one little patch of black-eyed Susans I left right there from my massive black-eyed Susans I used to have. This whole, of course, you know, this whole area used to be nothing but black-eyed Susans. They're pretty when they're blooming, but other than that, they're really just kind of ugly. But I tell you, them finches, they really love, see if I can get over here, really love them seed heads. There's a few left that are still kind of hanging, but I would have pulled them all out, but I couldn't because I got all the bee balm in here. Looks like some bee balm might do a little bloom again right there. It's all mixed in with all my bee balm in here, which that blooms back in July. And so I couldn't just yank it out. I didn't want to mess up the bee balm, so. So it's going to be a little mix of black-eyed Susans in here. Here is another patch of that snake root right here. It come up. So that's the only. I did have a bunch in my garage flower bed, and I yanked it all up because it was just getting a little carried away. But yeah, I got the ironweed that's seeded there, and then I got a grass right here that I planted a few years ago now. It's a stripedy, and it's got all the seed heads. I'm gonna have to, I got it propped up, but I'm gonna have to kind of, right now it's kind of got a makeshift something to prop it like this right here to help, but I would move it in front of it, but I hate to move it because the hummingbirds, they want to sit right here, and I can see them from the window right there. So I hate to mess them up, but I kind of got a paracord too. I'm going to have to fix it better for next year because I don't want it, you know, I like to keep it pushed back a little bit. So, yeah, it's a little messy looking, but I don't mind it. I don't mind a little messy wildflower beds with some, you know, open spots, and try to keep it neat and tidy as much as possible. Can't do manicured flower beds. I just don't care what anybody says. You just can't, because, you know, it's just too hard. It's just not realistic. So here's my pineapple sage. What's this right here? I always get suspicious of leaves when they're rolled up. Might be some kind of little worm in them. So I got 3 of them. This is the one plant. This one and the one over the other side over here, they was in the garage flower bed. And then when we stopped getting the rain, in the spot that I had them, in the one spot that gets sun over there the most, it's on a slope, so it started getting a little dry. So I had to move them over here because they need water. They don't need like a lot of water, but they do need, you know, consistent moisture. So the 2 are a little behind versus the one that's been here. This is the one that I planted here, and then there's some more butterfly weed. You can see this one. This one decided to bloom a little late, and then here's all the little seed heads. And these are the seed heads, and then they bust open, and then you have all these little fuzzies with a little seed attached, and they go floating everywhere. Amazingly, they don't come up as much as you think they do. They come back from the roots, and I have had some seed. I have quite a few butterfly weed plants scattered around where they've just volunteered. But they look pretty ratty at the end of the summer. But those little bugs. But yeah, the seed heads are, they're kind of neat looking. But yeah, this is the third one. Let me get it out of it's done pretty good. It's a little yellow one right there. I wonder if I should give it a little bit of Miracle Grow, just kind of. But yeah, they're not quite as tall. Harlow, what are you hearing? What are you hearing? Like going up the road. But yeah, that one's been here the longest, so it didn't get transplanted, but from over there. But they're catching up slowly. So I hope they'll be blooming by the time they should be. But it just takes them. They've grown a lot since I got them. So and then we got 3 little patches of goldenrod. It looks kind of rough, but I leave them because they're fixing to open up. They look nice at the top, as they spill out. It's kind of weedy looking, but I tell you, when they're fixing to be blooming, I'd say within a week, all these 3 little patches would be a mass of just yellow up here. I used to have 2 big, huge little groups of them, big, when they bloom. Now, just, of course, you've seen the pictures. Very, very, very pretty. But, just covered in bees, all kind of, from little bitty bees to honeybees and butterflies and just all kind of bees. Just absolutely love it. So I leave it. They did look better, but until we stopped getting rain, they started dropping the leaves along the along the stalky part. I've tried to come out and kind of clean off, but goldenrod and ironweed, they grow out in wild, so they're pretty tough. But they're not going to be something that somebody wants a real pretty fancy flower bed. I cut this one here because it's helped hold it in here. Got a little bird. But the flowers are really pretty, so I like it. It's a little messy, but it's okay. I try to keep it cleaned up. I'll come out here and cut it down when it's all done. But of course, this is where my pond liner used to be. Pull a weed right here. Used to be a pond liner down in there, and I got tired of messing with it. It was too much of a pain. So this is my idea for a really big hole in the ground. Little concrete frogs I painted. But yeah. This ironweed, it just gets so tall. Definitely wild looking. But they've just been absolute. There's a hummingbird moth right there. See if I can zoom in on it. Where did he go? Oh, he's way over there now. Oh, good grief. Let's see. Anyways, I lost it, but... Oh, Arlo. Anyways, what I was going to say was, this is my basil I planted. I did seed. Very, very easy to grow from seed. Sunset now. But this is a cinnamon basil, and I like the dark purple basil. I get a little bit of it but it did, the cinnamon basil did better this time. I come out here, it smells like very fragrant, very, very fragrant basil, but it just got that's why it's called cinnamon basil, but it's got a cinnamon tinge smell to it. But you just come out here, the bees love it. Not just bumbles, but everything, as everybody calls them, pollinators. But they bloom. Then I come out here and just cut off the ends, once it's done blooming, and it'll sprout out another one. Let's see, so like this is like a new bloom, but grows real easy from seed. It actually, Arlo, hush. Once they grow, they get pretty stalky, almost like a woody. These have been here for a while. They've been sitting here growing for a few months now. And you come in here and trim off the old flowers, they'll just keep putting out. But it's just so fragrant, it's basil, but it's just got a little bit of a cinnamon smell, but even if it didn't, I still would like it. I planted I did lantana, which I've always liked lantana, but it just always, every time you ever see it, it never looks all that great. So, I had two of these white ones. To me, they look like scrambled eggs, kind of. I've had them for a few months in a pot, and they never really grew. They just kind of sat there. So I had watched a video on YouTube I subscribed to the guy actually, but some kind of gardener guy, but then he planted them in the ground, and they made like a big old, almost looks like a little shrub. I was like, it's full of flowers. And this has done all kinds of growing since I put it out here in the ground. It's growing like crazy, and it's awful pretty. And that one, and then there's this one that's growing pretty good. My little volunteer sunflower. This one's done bloomed first. The birds have been picking at it. I trimmed that back already. I got two of them. They're the prettiest around about May. After that, they make a big. This is what is this? I don't know. It's not catnip, but it's in that family. Where it's real bushy, and it's kind of a minty, skunky. It's not catnip, but it's got real pretty purple flowers. Around about May, it just makes a big old patch of it. And I got another one over there. Parts of it, I cut the main part back, but left part of it still looks halfway decent. But I just planted two more a couple weeks ago. This pink kindness really starting to grow pretty good too. I got 2 of them. This one's a little smaller. Arlo, hush. So I've been missing out. So I think next year that's what I'm going to do is more. I like the lantana. They say, you know, all the bees and butterflies like lantana. So this is some type of little sedum. They don't get very big. And I planted a hibiscus here a few weeks ago too, and it's been growing like crazy. It's supposed to be, this is a multicolor. They've got different colored flowers on it. I really like hibiscus. At least the worms leave this kind of hibiscus alone, the one that won't come back. But that other one that will come back, just to eat all the pieces. So I don't ever buy that again. So, and then this right here, I wish I could find some more of this. Oops, see, you got some milkweed seeds all floated over here. This is some type of sage, and I forget. But you trim off, it's kind of woody. Oh, it's like the birds have broke off some of it. Darn it. Oh well. I think I got this at Home Depot a few years ago, but if I see some more, you cut off the ends of it. See, they'll seed too. Like this right here, it has there's a little seed in that pot. I have one little volunteer I see over there, but I have yet to find any more. It must be hard to see, but I got one sprouted out over there I saw. But it just sits here and flushes out little blooms off and on. And you come out here, if you cut off the old blooms like this, once they get done, just cut off the tips and it'll send out more. But you can see all these are just full of little seeds. So kind of suits my flower bed because this flower bed gets a lot of sun. I mean, up against the house it gets shade, you know, until the sun comes around. And once it comes up around this way, there's nothing but just sun, and then it gets behind that tree there, a little shade, and then it crosses over there, and then but the sun was setting over there, but now it's sitting right about there. So slowly it's going to keep, just wanting to focus on my finger. Slowly it's wanting to go back. It's going to start setting way over here. But I planted a little blue star juniper here this year too. Kind of want to do a little more small shrubs and stuff, you know. Because sometimes flowers in this part is a little hard to keep up, as far as it just can't take, you know, all the sun and heat. But there's my rock. There's my Georgia rock, and here's my Wisconsin rocks. There's some more butterfly weed. I think this autumn sedum, it looked really nice up until, I don't know if they got too much rain. Well, look at the seeds. But once the rain kind of dried up, they started looking a little, it's kind of, I don't know if they don't need this. Hard to say if they need water or they don't need water, because, you know, it's a succulent, so I don't know. But they come back every year. They look better some years, and some years they don't, but oh well. And here's my Brandywine. It's got real pretty blooms in the spring, and then it's a shrub. It's been here, I don't know, maybe about 4 or 5 years now. Maybe 4, and it puts out these berries afterwards. I've seen the little red birds come over here picking them off and eating them. But yeah, it's got a little bit of a messiness to it, which is fine. I kind of like a little natural look myself, but And plus too, if you like to do flower beds and stuff, you have to kind of think about, you know, think about where you live and what kind of sun it gets, and you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because if you like those, some people like to do those little English type of gardens, and those kind of gardens, flower beds ain't gonna do so hot in the hot south, where they get hot, intense sun and stretches of no rain, or maybe get flooded. And there's my grass over there. Well, I need to get off of here, and I've quit rambling on. I've rambled, so I'm gonna go and get the dogs inside probably, and the neighbor's dog barking over there. They got a big, huge, fancy dog. We call it dog dominium. One of those big buildings they live in with in kennels, and it's real fancy. So, but I shall get off of here, and another exciting video later. Bye bye.